well, how do there, chums? As I, Captain Stephen, today, chums, for you guys outside there in the viewerverse, I've got a little bit of extra speculation around these station overrides and this station core. So right now, the station overrides don't do anything inside of game, but I'm hoping that once they do, perhaps it could have the said functionality. So let's interact with this. See, it says flight path and landing overseer. What if that's for the whole frickin' station? Not for ships. But here we go, and maybe it takes you to different dimensions, as I was saying before in a previous video. So what if when we activate this, it all goes red and gnarly? Perhaps the Atlas itself takes control of the actual core of the station and takes us into another verse. Perhaps it could all go red and angry for a little while like this, and to signify that we've now just done a jump into the chaos realm. Yeah, maybe a few alarm bells and whistles, living ships landing here rather than these sort of ships, and instead of having the Gek, Viking and Korvax, just having travellers up in the actual stations. And yes, the actual travellers themselves, rather than being this holographic, translucent type traveller that we see in our verse, perhaps they're more solid, and perhaps they have different dialogue and their own language that we need to learn inside of this realm. So yeah, when you hit up these guys, I mean, look at this one. Warning, Atlas containment suit breached. Warning. So what I was saying about the Atlas maybe taking control of the core, it almost looks like the Atlas have taken control of this individual all of a sudden. So yeah, it wouldn't put it past me. There's so much in the lore that sort of hints that there's something lying between the realms, and that whole idea of crimson and red seems to be a reoccurring theme, and the fact that the Atlas can sort of interject and take over different sort of beings that live inside of this is also a reoccurring theme. So yeah, this whole crimson stuff, that's why I'm saying maybe the station would go red, maybe the Atlas will sort of take over the actual core, and maybe jump us into a new realm of space. I think this kind of makes sense to a degree, especially since on that actual console there's 12 lines and there's only, what, about 8 pads in this actual station, unless they're going to make the stations bigger. I mean, that would make sense as well, wouldn't it, really, to be fair. But here we go. Yeah, now he's actually talking as he normally would. Now, I've actually done a video playlist on all of the Traveller's lore and some of the weird things that they say. Some have mentioned the use of multi-swords, and they have also said that they don't know of the Gek, Viking or Korvax. So yeah, it does make me feel that there is another realm for us to be discovered. I'll put a link to the Traveller's lore up there. Go watch that playlist because it's freaking crazy stuff. Righto. So, what I'm thinking as well is that this would then make sense of these abandoned stations that we see in space. They're still very red and angry inside, and they've got the previous iteration build inside. So what if they do actually expand the stations and give us 12 landing pads inside of them? Perhaps the old ones that we see now will now become red and angry and abandoned, just like these ones. Who knows? But when you actually investigate these stations a little bit closer, there is no core at the back of here. So a lot of people are saying, Captain Steve, have you been to an abandoned station to see if you can actually activate the core there? There's not one to be activated. I was half expecting to see it all crushed and disintegrated at the bottom of there, but I can't see anything. But yeah, it is a bit freaking dark. But these old mezzanines and these sort of entrance points are how the stations were at birth of game. So this is what our stations were like. Obviously they weren't full of pus and slime just dripping from the ceilings, and we actually had NPCs that frequented these. Not in vast numbers that we see now. We didn't have no shops or anything. There was just a galactic trade terminal, a way to learn a few words, and a teleporter, and that's about it. In fact, the teleporters I don't even think were there straight away either. But there we go. Let's just push off of there, and you can see here we've got all this slime, just like you get in abandoned buildings. So it does feel like the actual void, or the abyss, or whatever you want to call it, the realm of glass, is slowly creeping into the verse. And behind the Atlas doors, the level 3 doors, everything is pristine. Everything is protected, but there's no really rhyme or reason as to why. I mean, it'd be nice to see some better stuff inside of these Atlas Pass free doors. In fact, I'm hoping that if we do get given the actual void or some way of entering into the realm of glass or into the simulation where, Artemis disappeared to or whatever, if we could enter into that, I'm hoping that it's going to be for the players that have invested, say, 40 hours plus into the game and are slightly more OP, give us more of a challenge, give us somewhere else to explore, almost like a second game inside a game, almost like how when you hit level 40 in World of Warcraft and it sort of goes into raids and things like that, in a similar sort of fashion. So it gives all of us old timers, all the people that have been with the game for like freaking years and got like, I've got like 600 odd hours or 800 hours in this save. And yeah, so it would make sense to me. So that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments. Coolio, goodbye. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe. And I'd like to say a massive, great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers. And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.